So far, the previous years on my railway had been great. Charles, Merlin and Arthur were busy with the new train switching regularly. They do it splendidly, and the train has been very popular as of late. For William, however, with that prank on him a while back with the passenger train was not so great, and I gave a stern talking to the engines responsible. But let's gloss over that and get on with what's new. Business was booming, and I couldn't be prouder of my engines. So this is the story I tell.
I overheard Mr. Todd talking to someone in his office the other day, while I was waiting at the station for a bit after coming back from Blackmore Central.
Really? What about? Did you hear what he said?
Only just. I didn't catch all of it, but he was talking about buying back 2 engines, or something like that. It was a bit muffled.
Buying back 2 engines? Did you catch their names?
I'm trying to remember. I believe he said Emmett and Ash? Do they ring any bells?
Why, yes. Myself and Carter remember them. Ash had a second chance to help with the busy summer work back in 1906, if I recall correctly. Jeffers and the others in the museum have memories working with him. As for Emmett, he worked as a suburban tank engine alongside Leonard when he was still in service. However, by the time we arrived on the HVR, he was reduced to being a shunter here at Denway.
Ah, some more engines from the glory days, eh? I'm excited to meet them.
Yeah, they were good times. I still remember the day when we said goodbye to them. That was a sad day. Indeed. I miss them from that day on, but I still welcome newcomers to the railway.
What's this then, you four? Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag now then.
What cat, sir? Where? Where is it? I don't like cats.
Not a real cat, Max. Anyways, if you must know, yes, I've got plans to bring Emmett back to the railway. You see, since Matt has broken down, Athena needs help to run the branch line. Emmett is keen to help. However, after he's done on the branch line, I may have him stored in the museum for a bit after he's been looked over.
What about Ash, sir? He was my friend.
I'm not so sure about Ash. From what I've heard, he's not been in service for a while due to an accident he was involved in. It was quite serious, so he's tenderless, but I am trying to get hold of where he is to purchase him, then bring him back here. But it may be a while yet until that happens.
Oh no, I hope he's okay. I'd hate to go outside without a tender. It would suck because it means you're not useful.
I can't see myself without a tender. I'd feel so useless. You can't see yourself in general, unless you have a mirror. Ugh, you idiot. Of course we can't see behind us.
The 3 express engines were resting in the main area of the sheds as it was raining on this damp, cold autumn day. Charles asked what the other engines were talking about before taking on water and coal before his run.
Why does it have to rain today? The rails will be slippery when I leave the station, so I better not forget to put down some sand before then. I'm just glad they decided to add a canopy to the station, unlike what it's been for years from what I heard from the older engines.
Man up! You should be used to starting out from stations in the rain. Even heavier than this. Although the rain was partly why Matt broke down. After he started slipping, he was working way too hard, trying to get his train to Oldcastle. However, at least it revealed some underlying conditions with him. From what I heard, it sounds like he hasn't gone to the works for a proper overhaul in a long while. So he will be out of action for a good few months.
You'll be fine, Charles. You best get a move on, though. You don't want to be late. If needs be, I can help give you a push out of the station for a little extra boost.
Thanks, Reuben. Appreciate it.
Charles left the station with Reuben pushing from the rear, slipping a bit on the damp rails, while Gripston picking up speed out of Denway and out towards Blackmore. The rain was now pouring down.
Thanks, Reuben. Appreciate it. Man, I can barely see through this. The rain keeps getting in my eyes. It doesn't help that we're going fast, too. I've got to get to Blackmore on time.
Anytime, mate.
He saw Blackmore coming into view and was relieved. But as he was putting sand down the brake, it felt as if he had run out.
What the? How could I have run out? I filled up with plenty. Oh, bugger me. I need sand.
Charles applied the brakes, but to no avail, as he slid along the wet rails. His driver even put on his reverser. He stopped just before his tender was outside the platform.
Phew, that was too close for comfort. I hope the passengers understand the situation and aren't too cross with me. I just don't understand how that could have happened. I got plenty in my sandboxes, driver.
Get low with this, Charles. There's a rock in one of your sandpipes. No wonder why you won't use more sand. Wedge yourself in the hole.
Oh, great. As if my day couldn't get any worse. The others are going to get a kick out of this. I hope nobody saw that. Oh, fantastic. That's right, laugh at me, Arthur.
Having brake troubles, are we? I'm surprised because you usually rock with that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell the others when I get back to Denway you won't hear the last of this. Sorry, Charlie.
I know I won't.
It's not that funny, Arthur. It could have happened to you.
Charles turned around and headed back at a reduced pace. As soon as he got back, he went to the works to get the stone dislodged from his sanding pipes. It took minutes to find the fault, and he headed back into the roundhouse to join the others.
What's this I hear, Charlie? Getting us more rocks stuck in your sandpipes? How on earth did you manage that?
Shut up, it's not funny. And don't call me Charlie. It's Charles, you half-wit.
Nah, it's hilarious. But we shouldn't stone you to death, eh?
I hope your wheels fall off.
Couldn't come back. It's rock solid.
Oh my goodness, shut up already!
Alright. But you have to admit, the weather is stone cold.
Hey, look at those four-wheel coaches over there. They must be for you, William.
Oh, shut up, Charles. It's the bogey coaches, not those cattle vans.
Later that evening, Mr. Todd arrived with an update on his situation regarding Emmett's potential return to the railway.
Evening all, I have more news about Emmett's arrival back to the railway. Jaxon, if you could go pick him up from Blackmore Central, he'll be in the yard. He's been moved from the scrapyard to there.
Sure, sir. I can go collect him tomorrow. Would it be easier for me to take a train there, or go light engine?
You could take a decent-sized coal train in that general direction. That would be helpful. I'm sure the other railway would appreciate the extra supply. We've got plenty for now.
Okay, sir. I'll leave extra early to make sure that I'm there on time.
It'll be great to see Emmett back again. I bet he missed all of us. And it'll be good to introduce him to the newer engine. Hopefully he remembers us. It's been so long.
I'm sure he will. We'll see when he comes back.
The next day, Jaxon set off with his coal train from the yards. Reuben had already shunted it the day before, so he was ready to go straight from the get-go. Jaxon arrived at the other railway. He asked around, but not many people knew an engine called Emmetts. But one engine spoke up.
Oh yes, I know him. He worked with me for a while, but last time I saw him, he was here. I believe he was moved recently to the out-of-use sidings further up the line. He's not in the best of shape, though.
Oh, okay. Thanks anyway.
Take care, young one.
He eventually found the sidings the old engine spoke about. At the very back, behind some very rusty wagons, was Emmett. Emmett saw Jaxon and didn't know who the 4200 was, not knowing he was one of Mr. Todd's engines.
No, of course not. Far from it, mate. I'm taking you to the Highland Valley Railway, if you're not aware. You've been booked by Mr. Todd.
Mr. Todd, my old manager? No, surely not. When did this happen? That's great.
Yes, it's true. So I'm getting you out of here.
Thank you so much. It'll be good to be back on the railway I used to work on. So, what's new?
All sorts. We got loads of new engines, a railway museum too. The older engines are in there now instead of what's happened to you.
Wait, what? They're not being used anymore? How come? That's not right. It's really sad to see, believe me. However, it's heartwarming and a miracle to be let out of here. I've seen some engines come and go, hoping I would go in a good way, unlike the others. Some prayed every day to be free from here, but some accepted fate. But for me, I don't know. I guess I just felt this wasn't the end, and I knew I was getting old.
Well, never give up on yourself, because I think, knowing Mr. Todd almost as much as you, you'll add years to your life, like you're young again.
You know, if you're all this nice, I'm happy to meet the others new to the railway. What's your name, speaking of?
Jaxon. Pleasure to meet you at last, Emmett. Your old friends told me lots about you in the good old days.
As they continued down the line on their way back to the HBR, Jaxon talked to Emmett like old friends, and Emmett felt young again, feeling the wind on his smokebox and his wheels spinning after sitting idle for years. But his wheels were stiff and felt like cobwebs had tangled his axles. He began to feel pains in his piston rods. Jaxon had to shunt him back to the works at Morton Heath for temporary repairs, leaving Emmett in the works there before moving again.
It'll be weird being back on my old railway, but I'll be glad to see my old friends again.
I'll come to get you tomorrow, once you've been oiled up and have a look over. Don't want you being in the pain all the way back to the sheds.
Thanks, buddy. See you soon. Thanks again for saving me, though. I'd hate to be scrapped.
Jaxon left Emmett and headed back to Denway with his train. He shunted it into the sidings next to the workshops and headed to the water column. While filling up on water, he was chatting to the others about Emmett. Jaxon? Where is he? I thought you said you were bringing him back here.
Emmett's now safe back on the railway, but he's still at Morton Heath Works, having a check over. It's creaking quite a bit. I think he'd been sitting in that siding where I found him a long time.
Oh, geez, that's not good.
If you'd like, sir, I could take you to see him.
Sure, Jaxon. I'd like to see Emmett again. Mr. Todd left with Jaxon. They journeyed up the line to Morton Heath, where Emmett was sitting in the workshops. He was being checked over when Jaxon arrived with Mr. Todd on board.
Emmett, Mr. Todd is here to see you again.
It's great to see you again, Emmett. It's been too long, old friend. We'll get you back to Denway for a full repair and overhaul.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll be glad to be on the move again and back at work.
You're always welcome to come back here as long as I'm around. I heard that my brother wants you to help around the museum, taking passengers from Denway to there and back for a bit. However, I need you to cover for one of our other J83's, Matt. He's Athena's brother, and he needed to go in for maintenance.
That's great, sir. I'd love that.
Emmett was checked over by the workmen at Morton Heath maintenance shed before he was taken back to Denway for a proper check-over. He was shunted in the sheds alongside the newer engines, but he wasn't feeling his old self.
My, things have changed around here. I don't remember the yard or the station being as big as this. How do you all manage?
The smaller engines do the shunting. Important engines, like me, don't shunt as often, as I've got a timetable to keep to. Although, during the Great War, Jeffries was often called away to shunt at old castle docks, and so, at times, I would shunt my own coaches. I'm Henry, by the way.
Yeah, and we all help out rather than one engine doing it all alone. Unlike Joey, who works at Moreton Heath. He manages by himself, with some help from Reuben. Though Reuben doesn't help as much due to being needed here from time to time.
That makes sense. I could see why. When I was here many years ago, trains certainly weren't as long as they are now, that's for sure. Plus, we didn't have the likes of the N15 brothers and A1s for express trains. That was before Elliot and Hamish's jobs, before all these faster engines arrived.
The engines all gradually fell asleep. Emmett was one of the last to drift off, but he was thinking to himself for hours. The next morning, Mr. Todd came over to the engines in the roundhouse. He was shaking his umbrella from the rain while talking to the engines.
Oh, great. Another horrible gloomy day. It's always tricky to get started out of the sidings or stations with no roofs with a heavy train. Just hope it passes sometime today.
I agree. But sir, what is it you've come to talk to us about today?
Yeah, about that, Carter. I was just going to say that Ash has been found and recovered. He'll be transported to Blackmore by another engine on their way past, so I'll need 2 of you to go get him. He's in a worse state than Emmett was, but once he's back here, he'll have to be properly overhauled and cleaned up. But Emmett will go to the museum too. He's not as sprightly as he once was. However, that won't be for a while, as he has to work on the old castle branch line as Matt's replacement.
Ah, okay, sir.
Mr. Todd walked away. At Moreton Heath, Emmet had arrived to the surprise of Athena.
No way! Is that you, Emmett? How are you, old boy?
Yes, it's me, Athena. And I'm doing well. I'm covering for, Matt, I believe his name is, until he's out of the works.
Well, I'm glad it's you on the branch. I would trust Joey here, but seeing as how rough he is with the coaches, I'd trust him about as far as my driver could throw the Eiffel Tower.
Oi, I'm not rough with the coaches.
Oh, calm down, old boy. I'm only teasing. Anyway, did you want to take the first service of the day? If I remember, you would run the branch whenever I wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, I did. And I definitely want to run the branch for a bit. branch line has changed quite a bit. I don't remember some other stations looking like this. The whole railway has definitely changed since I first arrived in 1879. Driver, do I have enough water?
Yes, you do, Emmett. It may be that you're not used to running again. It's been ages since you last ran a proper branch line like this.
What? But the Bodmin and Wadebridge Railway was of a similar distance.
From what I hear, you only did a bit of shunting there and ran a few trains now and again.
True, I didn't do many passenger runs. That was enough for the E4s or the E2s.
Just then, Rory and Carter were preparing to go through the tunnel through the docks. They were surprised to see Emmett panting for breath.
Oh dear, Emmett. Are you alright?
Yes, I'm just getting used to running again. It's been more than 20 years since I last ran properly.
Doesn't sound good at all. Tell you what, I'll ask the station master to call up to Morton Heath. Athena's still there. I'm sure she'd be glad to help.
Emmett's driver called to Morton Heath. Athena came up to Old Castle and took the train over from Emmett. Emmett had been taken down to Denway Works once again. Mr. Top was shocked to see Emmett being shunted into the works. Emmett! What happened?
I'm just too old to work on the branch line.
You're right about that. Where are you, from the Dark Ages?
Shut up, Charles. Or do we need to put another rock in your sandpipe?
Oh, shut up, Henry.
That's enough! Charles and Henry, I need you two to double head a train to London. Some railway officials are on the train and have requested you two specifically.
Yes, sir. Come on, Charles.
Emmett, I understand you want to work, but at the same time, if you're starting to feel weak on branch trains, I think you need to go to the museum.
What? But sir, it'll be boring there.
I'm sorry, but there's not much I can do. The board was already hesitant about me letting you run on normal branch services.
But sir, who are on the branch line?
I don't know. I'll have to think of something. Max, can you take Emmett to the museum?
Yes, sir.
Max coupled up to Emmett and he took the tank engine to the museum. As he was shunted into the museum, the engines were all surprised to see him.
Oh wait, is that you, Emmett?
Yeah, it is. How are you, Corey?
I'm good.
Well, I must say, this is a bit of a surprise. Hold on, aren't you Emmett? I remember seeing you kicking around when I was first arrived.
Why do you look so down then, Emmett?
Because I'm stuck in the museum. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad to have some of you guys to talk to. You guys are my friends, but I want to be back in service.
Listen, Emmett, I understand your feelings. When I got put in here, I was upset, because I knew Henry would do a much better job than I would. However, that made me realise we're all getting older, and while we can't enjoy our time out on the rails, we can still enjoy our time in here.
I guess you guys are right. So what sort of stories do you all have?
Well, where do we begin? I mean, there was the time Geoffrey's cousins came for a celebration, and the time we ran out of coal and experienced a shortage. That was when Rupert arrived.
Don't forget when Axel arrived. He was a horrid engine, but we've gotten great additions like Matt, Carlisle, Henry, Herbert, Reuben, Charles, Arthur and Merlin.
Emmett continued to talk with his old friends, glad that he was able to enjoy his time with his friends. Later in the evening, Herbert and William had been called to Denway Station. Alright, you two, we have a problem. At the scrapyard near Roddington, Ash was accidentally shunted there. I need you two to go look for him. We can't have him scrapped.
Sir, shouldn't someone like Jay go instead? After all, it gives Ash a bit more familiarity in terms of engines.
No, me and William can do this. We don't need another engine to help with this operation.
Yeah, plus, we don't really know what we may come across on the way. Herbert is going to scout ahead when we get close.
Be safe out there, you two. The two engines left the shed. It was getting dark when they left, as it would be quite the journey. If anyone found out that Ash was rescued from scrap, the boarders of directors would be hot on their heels and definitely get him scrapped. So Mr. Todd made sure he would not be found.
William, I found him. He's sitting amongst the other engines. At least he's closer to the front so we can move these wagons out of the way and get him, but we really don't want to be seen by anyone.
Yeah, you move the wagons, and I'll couple up to him, and we'll get the hell out of here.
For sure, but where are we going to leave him when we get back to the railway?
We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, alright?
What bridge? There's no bridge here.
There is no bridge. Don't take things so literally. Figure of speech.
Just then, they both heard a whistle. Herbert and William were shocked to hear the whistle.
Are you here to scrap us?
Ah! Who are you?
I'm Isambard Kingdom Brunel. The engine beside me is Colin.
Isambard and Colin. Hang on. I've heard of you. You guys are Jeffrey's cousins.
Shh! Can you keep it down? We don't want to be found.
William, no.
Come on, Herbert. We need to take them to the HVR. Stat.
No, we don't realise the length of engines we'd be pulling. We'd look suspicious pulling one engine out of a scrapyard and without a tender. We'll look even more suspicious by taking these two as well.
Come on, Herbert. If we just leave them here, I'd feel awful.
Fine. Come on, you two.
The 4 engines left the old yard. Fog was starting to set in, which helped them, but it made it harder for them to see. Ash was starting to wake, noticing he was being taken away. He started to shout, trying to alert anyone nearby.
Help me! I don't want to be scrapped! I can't go yet! Leave me alone!
Shut up, we're saving you, not take to be cut up.
Hearing this, Ash stopped shouting, but he'd already alerted security who maintained the yard. The 5 engines kept going through, regardless of the security guards.
Oi! Where are you going with that engine? He's meant to be cut up tomorrow. We'll find you and take him back, mark my words!
Now you've done it. We best get a move on then. Just keep going. We need to get the hell out of here.
Why are you taking me then?
That isn't important right now. We'll tell you when we're clear of all this chaos. Otherwise, you'll be scrapped for sure.
You said you're saving me. But where is it we're going?
Remember the Highland Valley Railway? That's where you're going. We'll get you back to Denway. Mr. Todd can speak to you when we arrive.
Yes, I've been there twice. I've never thought I'd be back there. So this is a lovely change. Is Hamish still there?
Hamish? Is he the yellow engine from Scotland?
Yes, him. That's great. He's still around. Where is he now?
He was moved to the museum. The railway board thought it was best for him.
Mr. Todd was waiting for the 3 engines. By the time they arrived, it was nearly morning. But he was still wanting to see Ash, as it had been years since the last meeting. Ash, it's great to see you again. I see you're tenderless though. How did that happen?
Well, sir, I was pulling a goods train and had an accident. My front end was too badly damaged, but the weight of the train smashed my tender off the rails, and it got so damaged they deemed it non-repairable and had to scrap it.
You're lucky that we found a spare in case something like this comes around.
Sir, we did find 2 other engines, and, I think you'd better come see this for yourself.
I see. Well, Herbert, can you take me there?
Sure thing, sir.
Mr. Todd climbed into Herbert's cab and set off for Morton Heath. Joey was asleep, but Mr. Todd was surprised to see Brunel and Colin. Brunel? And Colin? What are you doing here?
Well, sir, being perfectly honest, we've ran from our old railway to here.
We were close to getting scrapped, so we kind of figured we would be safe here. Of course, we ended up hiding in the scrapyard, which in hindsight wasn't the best idea.
Well, I see. I'll see if I can put you in the museum. I don't know if the board would be okay with me putting you in service, but you'd be alongside Jeffries in the museum.
Okay, sir.
Mr. Todd returned to Denway to speak to Ash about some arrangements he had. Alright, Ash. As you probably know, I did at some point want to buy you back to be stored in the museum, so this is the perfect situation you're in at the moment.
I take it. I'll have to be repaired first before I can run again. But if it's alright, can I be in the LMS Maroon again? I'd rather like that colour more than LMS Black or HR Green.
Yes, that's fine. I'll have the workman here have you repainted once you're repaired. Also, I've got a surprise for you too. But you'll have to wait and see what it is.
Oh, thank you, sir. It'll be good to be somewhat back on the rails for a bit. I know, as you said, I'm going into a museum eventually too.
After a long few weeks for Ash, he was finally back in working order. He rolled out of the works feeling like new again. He went over to fill up on coal and water before he went out with the test train. The other engines were glad he was safe at last.
That was quite the effort for him. But it's good he's here now. I'm sure Hamish will be glad to see him again after all these years.
Anyway, Ash, if you would like to come with me to the museum, there's someone waiting for you. My brother found him a while back down at the railway museum. We didn't even know he was there till one of my engines came across him recently.
Sure, sir. I'm intrigued to know what this is.
The two of them headed to the railway museum. It was quiet as he rolled in. Ash reversed into the workshed to find one of his older brothers. He was an LMS Maroon like Ash was. So Ash, this is your surprise. As I mentioned, my brother found Stuart. I will organise a double-header special for you both next week if you'd like.
Oh, yes, please, sir. That would be special. I did not think I'd see my brother again when he left the HR many years ago.
Me either, bro. We should catch up again soon. It's been so long since we last saw each other.
Yeah, totally. But let's get some sleep, as it's getting late now.
Also, Jeffries, I do have a special surprise for you.
From me, sir? What would that be?
Just then, a whistle was heard. It was Rupert. He was shunting in Colin and Brunel. Jeffries was surprised.
Colin and Brunel! What are you two doing here?
It's a long story, cousin. Would you like to hear it?
Of course I would.
I'll let you two catch up. Rupert, if you could take me back to Denway.
Yes, sir.
After all this went on, I visited Rockwell Junction aboard Jaxon to see the new coal mine engines. These two engines weren't owned by myself, but the coal mine manager, who was a good friend of mine. So I went to introduce myself to these two the following day after Ash and his brother Stuart were reacquainted. Thanks for the ride, Jaxon. You may as well wait here, as I'm sure there's a coal train to take back to Denway for the coal tower.
Okay, sir. That's fine with me. I'll get turned around and wait for the train.
As Mr. Todd was talking to Jaxon, the LSWRG6 called Adam came down with some coal wagons for Jaxon, behind a long line of coal wagons.
Well, hello there. Who might you be?
I'm Mr. Todd, the manager of this railway. I must say, this is a rather efficient system you have here by bringing down the coal wagons. That way, they're already here for the engines when they arrive.
Yeah, that's my job. AJ does the shunting up there, or we've come down together with a fully loaded train.
Anyway, Adam, can you take me to see your manager, please?
Sure, sir. Please hop aboard. I'll drop these up in the sidings near the dock entrance, then we'll go.
Adam dropped the wagons off and headed back up to the coal mine. After the meeting with the coal mine manager and meeting AJ too.
Ah, Brian, how are you? I don't see you up here often. AJ, why don't you show some respect and say hello?
If it hadn't escaped your notice, I'm shunting a train.
AJ!
Hello, sir. I'm Alfred John, but everyone calls me AJ. I'm not really into that formal name and stuff.
Pleasure to meet you, AJ. Anyways, let's discuss business. The two men walked to the office. Whilst discussing business, Mr. Todd looked out to the coal yard and saw Adam and AJ working.
Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. I zoned out. I was looking at your tank engines.
Why?
I need an engine to run the old castle branch whilst Matt is in the works, as well as doing general work as well, such as shunting and short goods trains like Reuben does.
Ah, I see. That sounds more like Adam.
Let's see what's wrong.
What's the meaning of this, Adam? Sir, Rockwell Junction, near the goods shed. I heard a noise coming from there. It sounded like a steam engine.
Really? Let's go investigate this straight away. The two men boarded AJ and went down to the junction. Adam took him to the goods shed. They opened up the goods shed to find a Caledonian 439 class. He looked brand new. He was in Caledonian blue.
I'm Clyde, sir.
How did you get here?
Well, I was built about 5 years ago. I was treated badly on my old railway. I ran away 4 days ago, hoping I could be safe somewhere else, and somehow I ended up here.
I see. Well, Clyde, how about this? Would you like to work for me? I promise I won't threaten you with scrap. You could work on the branch line, and then after, you do some general work such as shunting and pulling a few trains. Is that alright with you?
Yes, sir. That's fine by me.
Adam, would you mind moving Clyde out of the sheds? I'll have Jay come up here and take him to the works. Engines, as you maybe are aware, I was away all day today with Jaxon visiting the coal mine up at Rockwell Junction. As I was mailed by my good friend Chase, he bought 2 engines to run the coal mine, bringing down the coal wagons to the junction for you to collect. Saves you all going up there and wasting time collecting a train, especially as the bridge isn't that strong for some of you. Chase said Adam will be the one to do it. Along with this, I found a new engine to work alongside you lot. His name is Clyde, and he'll work on Old Castle until Matt is back, but he'll keep working with you two J83s on local trains. I may also rope him in to help Rupert too.
That's great, sir. It'll be good to have some help. But, sir, will we ever need to go up there at all? If one of them broke down?
I doubt it. We're all quite busy as it is. I mean, me being the strongest engine here, I'm definitely needed for the coal trains.
Oi, I'm way stronger than you, Jackson.
I'm only teasing, Max.
I'm stronger than both of you. There's no competition between us.
After the engines were told about the new shunters, glad that there's 2 dedicated engines for the coal mine, it would save them some time. They all gradually fell asleep that evening. Next year, we'd see another set of twins who would really show their worth. But that's a story for another day.